The champagne was Dom Perignon. The yacht was 100-foot azimuth. The guest list read like a Forbes magazine cover. And there, at the end of the dock, stood my wife in a black dress that cost more than some people's cars. Ex-wife. As of 48 hours ago. Is that? My business partner, Rich, squinted toward the shore. Is that Emma? I didn't answer. Couldn't. The glass in my hand had stopped halfway to my mouth. She wasn't supposed to be here. She was supposed to be in some studio apartment across town, crying in a cheap wine, wondering how she'd survive on the pittance I'd given her. Instead, she stood like a pillar of smoke against the sunset. Waiting. Should we postpone? Rich's voice dropped. This is awkward. No. I drained my glass. This is my party. My celebration. If she wants to stand there and watch, let her. But something in my chest had gone cold. 3 months earlier, I won a divorce. Emma looked up from her book. We were in the living room of our Coral Gables house. My house, technically. Her name had never made it onto the deed. Okay. She set down the book. Some worn paperback she'd gotten at a library sale. Can I ask why? Does it matter? I refilled my scotch. We're not compatible. You're not ambitious. You're content with small things. I need someone who matches my vision. She sat very still. Emma had always been still. Quiet mornings, soft answers, a life lived at low volume. I found it charming once. Now it just felt small. Someone like Adriana? My hand jerked. Scotch sloshed over the rim. I don't know what you're, the marketing executive you've been seeing for 6 months. The one you take to Harbor Club on Tuesdays. She wears Hermes and drives a Tesla. Emma's voice stayed level. I'm not stupid, David. Just quiet. I set down the glass. Fine. Yes. Adriana is everything you're not. Sophisticated. Connected. She understands my world. Your world. Emma smiled slightly. The one you built in 5 years. The one I built from nothing. While you volunteered at libraries and wore Target dresses to charity galas. I moved toward the window. You never even tried to fit in, Emma. You embarrassed me. I see. The lawyer has papers ready. You'll get what's fair, the legal minimum. You brought nothing to this marriage. You'll leave with nothing. She stood, picking up her book. When do you want me out? A month. That's generous. It is. She moved toward the stairs. Thank you, David. For your generosity. Something in her tone made me turn. But she was already gone, footsteps soft on the stairs. The papers were signed at her lawyer's office, some strip mall operation in North Miami. I'd brought my attorney, Marcus Webb, shark of sharks, $3,000 suits and a reputation for destroying opponents. Emma came alone. She wore jeans and a plain white t-shirt. Her hair was pulled back. No makeup. She looked like someone's cleaning lady, not the wife of a commercial real estate mogul. Ms. Reyes. Marcus smiled like a barracuda. Let's review terms. My client is offering you $50,000 for 5 years of marriage. No alimony. No property claims. You leave with your personal belongings, nothing more. Emma's lawyer, a tired-looking woman named Sandra, started to object. It's fine. Emma held up a hand. I'll sign. Sandra stared. Emma, you're entitled to. I know what I'm entitled to. I'll sign. I'd expected a fight. Tears, at least. Instead, she picked up the pen and signed every page without reading them. Don't you want to review the, Marcus began. No need. Emma capped the pen. I trust David's lawyer did his homework. You're very thorough, Mr. Webb. Your reputation precedes you. Something flickered in Marcus's expression. Have we met? No. Emma stood, collecting her copy of the papers. But I've heard of you. Everyone has. She left without looking back. That was easy. I told Marcus in the parking lot. Too easy. He frowned at the building. David, did you ever ask about her family? Her background. She was a librarian when I met her. What background? Just, something felt off in there. The way she looked at me. You're paranoid. She's broke and powerless. She knows it. Marcus didn't look convinced. 3 days after the papers were signed, I proposed to Adriana at Zuma. She said yes. We celebrated with her friends, tech entrepreneurs, hedge fund managers, influencers with millions of followers. To David, Adriana raised her glass. For knowing what he wants and taking it. The table cheered. Rich leaned over. You sure about the yacht party? Seems like tempting fate. It's been 48 hours. The divorce is final. I'm celebrating my freedom. Still, Emma might. Emma's probably packing boxes in some efficiency apartment. Trust me. She's not a problem. That's when I got the text from the yacht club manager. Mr. Morrison, there's a woman here asking about your party. Says she's a guest. Name's Emma Reyes. My blood went cold. Tell her the guest list is closed, I typed back. Sir, she says she doesn't need to be on the list. Should I call security? I looked at Adriana, laughing with her friends. Her ring, 3 carats, flawless, catching the light. No, let her watch from the dock if she wants. She can't afford to set foot on that yacht anyway. Which brings us here. To now? To Emma standing at the end of the dock in that black dress, motionless as a statue. David. Rich's voice was tight. We should go talk to her. Why? She's got no power here. This is my world. But I was already walking toward the dock. Something in her stillness pulled me forward like gravity. She didn't move as I approached. Just stood there, a small clutch purse in her hands, watching the yacht bob in the water. Emma. I stopped 3 feet away. What are you doing here? She turned. Her face was calm, serene, even, waiting for my guests to arrive. You're what? My guests. She checked her watch, a Cartier I'd never seen before. They should be here any minute. The party starts at 7. Emma, I don't know what game you're. 3 black SUVs pulled into the yacht club parking lot. The doors opened. Men and women in business attire emerged, moving with purpose toward the dock. Toward Emma. The lead figure was a woman in her 60s, silver hair, carrying herself like royalty. Emma's face transformed. Mama. The woman embraced her. Mi amor. Are you ready? Yes. Emma stepped back, turning to me. Her eyes held something new, something that made my mouth go dry. David Morrison, meet my mother. Victoria Reyes, CEO of Reyes Maritime Holdings. The dock tilted under my feet. And that yacht you're celebrating on? Emma smiled. That's the Santa Maria. One of ours. Funny thing about rental agreements. They're only valid if you're in good standing with the owner. That's not possible. My voice came out strangled. Reyes Maritime that's a billion-dollar company. 3 billion, actually. Victoria Reyes looked me over like I was something stuck to her show. And you've been renting our property for your little party. Emma's hand moved. She pulled the phone from her clutch. Carlos. Yes, cancel Mr. Morrison's rental agreement. Effective immediately. Refund his deposit minus the cancellation fee. You can't. I spun toward the yacht. Adriana stood at the rail, champagne glass frozen halfway to her lips. I have a contract, which includes a morality clause. Emma's voice stayed level. Harassment of the owner's family members voids all agreements. I'd say divorcing the owner's daughter while she sat vigil at her grandmother's deathbed qualifies. The dock lurched under me. Your grandmother's, when did? 6 months ago. She was in hospice for 3 months before she died. Emma's eyes were dark. I asked you to come to the hospital once. You said you had a business dinner. That dinner. With Adriana. At Harbor Club. You never told me she was sick. I whispered. I told you I needed to visit family in Tampa. You said I should go alone. That hospitals depressed you. She tilted her head. She asked about you, even at the end. Wanted to know if my husband was good to me. Emma, if I'd known. You didn't want to know. You wanted a wife who existed only in your world. Who had no family, no history, no complexity. She turned to her mother. Mama, this is David Morrison. My ex-husband. He owns Morrison Commercial Properties. Owns. Victoria's smile was sharp. Interesting word choice. A man in a suit stepped forward. Mrs. Reyes, the documents are ready. Thank you, Raphael. Victoria took a folder. Mr. Morrison, are you familiar with her company's debt structure? My mouth had gone dry. What? Your loans. Your financing. The capital that built your little empire. She opened the folder. It's fascinating reading. You borrowed heavily 5 years ago to acquire your first properties. The primary lender was Coastal Capital Trust. That's a private equity fund. What does that? Coastal Capital Trust is a subsidiary of Reyes Maritime Holdings. Victoria's voice could have frozen salt water. We own your debt, Mr. Morrison. All $37 million of it. The world tilted. That's impossible. I would have known. You signed the papers without reading them. Just like you assumed my daughter was nobody because she dressed simply. Victoria handed me a document. Effective immediately, we're calling in your loans. You have 30 days to pay in full or forfeit all assets. I couldn't breathe. 30 days. No one can pay that in 30 days. Perhaps you should have thought of that before humiliating my daughter in front of her lawyer. Victoria's eyes were ice. Sandra Martinez? She's been our family attorney for 20 years. She called me the moment Emma signed those papers. Told me everything you said in that room. This is extortion. This is business. Emma's voice cut through my panic. You taught me that, David. Everything is business. Emotion is weakness. Sentiment is for people who can't afford better. Behind me, footsteps pounded on the dock. Rich was running toward us, face pale. David, we have a problem. The yacht staff is kicking everyone off. They're saying the rental is canceled. I know. I spun back to Emma. This is insane. You can't destroy everything I've built because your feelings are hurt. My feelings. Emma's laugh was soft, deadly. David, this isn't about my feelings. This is about business. You're over-leveraged. Your debt-to-income ratio is unsustainable. You've been one bad quarter away from collapse for 2 years. She stepped closer. I know because I've been reviewing your books. Every financial statement. Every quarterly report. For 5 years, I sat in our house while you talked on the phone, made deals, crowed about your victories. Her smile was terrible. You thought I was reading romance novels. I was reading your contracts. You had no right. I had every right. I was your wife. You left everything on your desk, in your office, because you assumed I was too stupid to understand it. She pulled out another document. This is my favorite. The Harbor Vista deal. You told investors you had secured financing, but the loan fell through 3 weeks ago. You've been scrambling to find replacement capital. My legs went weak. We were going to announce new funding next week. From where? Coastal Capital was your last option. And we just called in your debt. Emma tilted her head. Your investors are going to be very interested to learn you misrepresented your financial position. This is revenge. Petty, vindictive, no. Victoria Reyes stepped forward. This is what happens when you underestimate people. My daughter came to you 5 years ago with nothing. This is true. She'd walked away from our family to prove she could make her own way. Live simply. Find someone who loved her for herself. Her voice dropped to a whisper. She found you instead. A man who saw her poverty as proof of worthlessness. Who never asked about her family, her education, her life before you. Victoria's smile was poison. Emma has an MBA from Wharton, Mr. Morrison. She was managing a library because she wanted to understand community development. She wore Target dresses because designer labels are wasteful. She was quiet because she was watching, learning, waiting. For what? The words came out broken. Emma answered. For you to show me who you really were. On the yacht, Adriana was screaming. Security was escorting guests off the deck. Champagne glasses shattered on the dock. Your new fiancé? Emma said, watching the chaos. Adriana Chun. Did you check her background? She's a marketing executive. She's been embezzling from her company for 18 months. The SEC is investigating. Emma held up her phone. I have friends in federal law enforcement. They're very interested in her finances, and in anyone closely associated with her. You're lying. Call her right now. Ask her about the Cayman accounts. I pulled out my phone. Dialed Adriana. She answered on the first ring, voice shrill. David, what the hell is happening? They're throwing us off. Adriana, do you have offshore accounts in the Caymans? Silence. Adriana, I can explain. I hung up. The phone fell from my hand, clattered on the dock. Emma picked it up, held it out to me. Here's what happens next. You have 30 days to liquidate everything and pay us back. You'll lose your company, your properties, your reputation. Adriana will go to prison. I'd distance yourself quickly if I were you. And if I fight this, get my own lawyers. Marcus Webb. Emma smiled. He already called my mother to apologize for representing you. Turns out his firm has done work for Reyes Maritime for 15 years. He dropped you as a client an hour ago. I stood there, watching everything I'd built crumble like sand castles. Why? The word came out as a whisper. Why go through all of this? Why not just tell me who you were? Emma's face softened. Just for a moment. Because I loved you, David. I thought if you loved me when I had nothing, it would be real. Pure. She shook her head. But you didn't love me. You tolerated me. Endured me. Waited for someone better to come along. I made a mistake. You made a choice. You chose cruelty. You chose to humiliate me in front of lawyers. You chose to celebrate our divorce like it was a victory. Her voice hardened. I would have given you everything. My family's connections. My trust fund. My world. All you had to do was see me. I see you now. Too late. She turned to her mother. I'm ready to go." Victoria embraced her daughter. "Your grandmother would be proud." As they walked away, Emma paused. "Look back. The 50,000 you gave me, I donated it to the library where we met. They named a reading room after my grandmother." She smiled. "Thank you for your generosity, David. 30 days moves fast when you're drowning." Day 1. Marcus Webb's office sent a formal letter terminating our relationship. He recommended 3 other lawyers. None would take my calls. Day 3. News broke about Adriana's indictment. The tabloids ate it alive. My photo was in every article. Tech executive's fiancé also under scrutiny. I wasn't under scrutiny, but the damage was done. Day 7. My investors called an emergency meeting. Without the Harbor Vista financing, the deal was dead. They wanted their money back. Money I'd already spent. Day 14. I put the Coral Gables house on the market. The penthouse. The cars. Everything. Day 21. Still not enough. Not even close. Day 29. I sat in a studio apartment in North Miami, not unlike the one I'd imagined Emma crying in, and stared at bankruptcy papers. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello. Mr. Morrison. This is Sandra Martinez, Emma's lawyer." My hand clenched around the phone. "I have nothing to say to you." "I have something to say to you." Her voice was crisp. "My client would like to make you an offer." "What kind of offer?" "A job." I laughed. It sounded unhinged even to my ears. "A job? Doing what?" "Cleaning her boats." "Actually, yes. Reyes Maritime owns a fleet of luxury yachts. They need maintenance staff." A pause. "But that's not the position she's offering." I waited. "Emma is launching a new division, affordable housing development in underserved communities. She needs someone with commercial real estate experience. Someone who understands property acquisition, development, financing." Sandra's voice softened. "Someone who's been humbled enough to listen." "Why would she?" "Because despite everything you did, she still believes in second chances. Her grandmother taught her that." A pause. "The salary is $60,000 a year. You'd be working under Emma's direct supervision. You'd start at the bottom, site visits, community meetings, paperwork. Nothing glamorous. 60,000. I'd spent more than that on watches. And my debt would be restructured. 10-year payment plan, reasonable interest. You'd lose everything you built under your own name. But you'd avoid bankruptcy. Start over." Sandra's voice hardened. "But understand, this isn't forgiveness. Emma doesn't forgive you. This is an opportunity to become someone worth forgiving." "Why?" My voice cracked. "Why would she do this?" "You'll have to ask her yourself. You start Monday if you accept. 9 a.m. The address is, I know where Reyes Maritime headquarters is." "Not headquarters. The community center in Overtown. That's where her office is." Of course it was. "Tell her." I swallowed. "Tell her I'll be there." The Overtown Community Center occupied a converted warehouse. No marble. No glass. Just cinder block and determination. Emma's office was on the 2nd floor. The door was open. She looked up when I knocked. She wore jeans and a simple blouse. Her desk was covered in blueprints, community feedback forms, zoning maps. "You came." She didn't sound surprised. "I didn't have much choice." "You always have a choice, David. That's what you taught me. Someone who understands development, even if that someone is you. And you deserve a chance to be more than the man who threw away something real for something shiny." She stood, moved to the window. Below, kids played basketball in the center's court. "I loved you. That was real. You hurt me. That was real too. But I'm not going to let what you did turn me into someone bitter." She turned. "My grandmother died asking about you, hoping you made me happy. I lied and said yes. I don't want to lie about you anymore." "What do you want?" "I want you to become someone I don't have to lie about. Someone who does good work. Who sees people, really sees them." She pulled out a contract. "This is a 1-year agreement. Renewable if you perform well. You'll work with community leaders, listen to their needs, advocate for them with contractors and city officials. You'll visit sites, get your hands dirty, learn what it's like to build something that matters instead of something that profits." I took the contract. My hands shook. "And after the year?" "That depends on who you become." I sighed. There was nothing else to do. 6 months in, I stood in the courtyard of our first completed development. 40 families were moving in. Kids were screaming with joy, running through the new playground. Parents were crying, holding keys to homes they never thought they'd afford. Emma stood beside me, quietly triumphant. "You did good work here," she said. The city council asked if we'd do another development in Liberty City. We should. I'd spent 3 months in community meetings there. Knew the needs, the hopes, the people. They need a grocery store. There's a food desert 3 miles wide. Good. She made a note. Write up a proposal. A woman approached, Mrs. Jenkins, one of our first residents. She hugged Emma, then turned to me. Thank you, Mr. Morrison. My grandbabies have their own rooms now. You don't know what that means. I did know. Because I'd listened when she told me about 3 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment. When she described their dreams, their potential, their need for space to grow. You're welcome, Mrs. Jenkins. After she left, Emma turned to me. You're different now. I'm broke. Humbled. Working for my ex-wife. I managed to smile. Yeah, I'm different. You're kinder. She studied my face. You see people now. I see what I missed. I looked at the families celebrating around us. All my fancy deals, expensive properties. I never built anything that mattered. Not like this. You did. You just built it for the wrong reasons. We stood in silence, watching the sun set over the development. Emma. My voice was quiet. I know I don't deserve to ask. But do you think, could we ever? No. The word was gentle but final. That door closed. You can't unmake the choices you made. I know. But. She looked at me. We can make new choices. Build something different. Not a marriage. But maybe a friendship. Eventually. If you keep doing the work. The work. I nodded. I can do that. I know you can. I've watched you these 6 months. You show up early. You listen. You care. She smiled slightly. My grandmother would have liked this version of you. I wish I could have met her. You would have. If you'd come to the hospital. No bitterness. Just fact. But you were building an empire. Now you're building homes. That's better. She walked away, stopping to hug residents, admire children's drawings, promise to visit soon. I stood in the courtyard as evening fell. My phone buzzed, a message from Rich. He'd landed a job in Atlanta. Wanted to know if I'd found my feet yet. Yeah, I typed back. Found my feet. Lost everything else. But I'm good. And the strange thing was, I meant it. 1 year to the day after I started, Emma called me into her office. Your contract is up for renewal. I'd been dreading this. Hoping for this. Uncertain which I wanted more. I want to renew. If you'll have me. Why? She leaned forward. You could go back to commercial real estate. Start over. You've learned humility. That plays well in investor meetings. I could. I met her eyes. But this matters more. These families. These communities. I want to keep building things that last. She studied me for a long moment. Then slid a new contract across the desk. Same salary. New title, Development Director. You'll oversee 3 new projects. Hire your own team. Report directly to me. I looked at the paper, the title, the responsibility. Emma, I don't know if I can. You can. I've watched you grow. You're ready. She smiled. Sign it or don't. Your choice. I signed. As I stood to leave, she spoke again. David, my mother is hosting a charity gala next month. Fundraiser for our affordable housing initiative. I'd like you to speak. Tell your story. Who you were, who you became. It might inspire donors. You want me to talk about how I lost everything? I want you to talk about what you found. Her eyes held something warm. Not love, but respect. Maybe better. You found purpose. That's worth more than the empire you lost. I left her office and walked through the center. Past the computer lab where kids learned coding. Past the health clinic serving families without insurance. Past the job training center helping people rebuild their lives. I've lost millions. Lost my reputation. Lost the woman I'd been too blind to value. But I'd found something else. Something that didn't come with a price tag or a yacht or a penthouse view. I found a way to matter. That night, I sat in my small apartment, still in North Miami, still humble, still nothing like the life I'd had, and pulled out an old photo. Emma and me, 5 years ago, at the library where we met. She was laughing at something I'd said. I was looking at her like she was the world. I'd had that. Had her. Had everything. And I'd thrown it away because I couldn't see value without a price tag. Now I spent my days building homes for people who couldn't afford them. Working for a woman I'd dismissed. Living small so others could live bigger. The revenge Emma took wasn't in destroying me. It was in rebuilding me. In showing me that the quiet woman in Target dresses was stronger, smarter, kinder than the mogul I'd pretended to be. She let me drown. Then throw me a rope. Not to save me, but to teach me how to save myself. I still loved her. Probably always would. But I love the work more now. Love the families. Love the purpose. And maybe that's what she'd wanted all along. Not to make me love her again, but to make me into someone worthy of being loved. I put away the photo, opened my laptop, started drafting my speech for the gala. My name is David Morrison. 5 years ago, I thought I was building an empire. I was actually building a prison. The words flowed. True. Raw. Earned. Outside my window, the city glowed. I'd fallen from the penthouse to the ground floor. And for the first time in my life, I could finally see.